All right. We back at it again. Ready to win. Woo! Okay, my phone clearly is not staying in place. Let's try that one more time. Okay. Do forgive me. I'm not sure how that's gonna sound on the audio. But you know what? Let me just leave it as it is. I think let's just proceed. So yeah, before I just get into the intro, I just wanna give you guys, some context as to what brought me here today. As much as I'm always doing the daily spread every day for the last couple of days since the last super moon, full moon, harvest moon, you know, um, I have been, also coming here not just for the daily spread, but because I feel led to come here. Like, it's just so beautiful how the messages like come through. And in this particular case, I actually felt I just lit up some incense and I felt the presence of a spirit coming through so peacefully, so calmly. And they're like, yo, we need to talk to you. We need to like ask you for something, but we also understand that an energy exchange needs to take place. We're trying to tell you something. So, I didn't really have much of an inclination as to what it was about, but I feel like it could be some kind of resolution. I get the sense that this energy is a guide or spirit that has traveled very far because, just as I started this, my left leg started aching and paining. And I don't know if this is perhaps linked to yesterday's reading somehow. And with me even saying that, it kind of like, so the pain kind of subsides a little bit, which maybe that is our sign. But I also just feel like I need to tread like carefully, you know what I mean? Is this related to yesterday? Yeah, and it is. And it is. Okay, cool. So yeah, I definitely get the sense that, in a very short space of time, that energy that, we were speaking to yesterday has actually started changing or is getting like a change of heart or is changing, I think that's definitely what we're gonna figure out right now. But yeah, 233, which was now 234. But let's go in. Let's begin, gang. Ooh, confirmation, bro. All right, thank you for the confirmation. We can start. All right, perfect. So, greetings, Soul Tribe. Even though we're a few minutes in, thank you for being the vibe. It's your host doing the most, G3E, the one and only. Welcome to another episode of the Daily Spread, where we take the journey within, and on this path, we are led. Thank you, God, angels, guardians, and ancestors, and all beings and forces wishing us well. May this reading be swell, and in the highest vibration of love we dwell. I don't usually mention the part about forces missing us or wishing us well, but again, no mistakes, right? So there's a force that's missing. There's some kind of, I'm thinking about it from like a science point of view, and forces. I think, who is it? Newton who came up with that. And there's like, the different types of forces, a force that's applied, a force that's implied, it's giving that type of a vibe. But if there's a force that's missing, wow. Force that's missing, FTM. Okay, I don't know, maybe there's something about that. FTM, it's sounding like ATM as well. But if there's a FTM, a force that's missing, there is, of course, like, I'm thinking about how forces make movement, or, there's a potential of movement, but because it's missing, then this change, this shift is not taking place in its manner or form, there's just something about it like needing or asking or wanting to be understood. And we are about to shed light on this right now. I think it comes through with, a wholeness energy, and it wants to be perceived as such, right? So let's start here with the reading. The first card that I pulled out is from the Osho deck. It is We Are the World, and this is the Ten of Pentacles. I think, this is the intention of what the spirit is coming through with. And it's saying, like, look, we can come together as people. We can remember that we are one. Like, we are the world. Yes, we are in this world, but not of it. But while we are here, we come together to make this a better place, to make this a better space. And it's in our collaboration with our sharing that we can ultimately create more, become more, and do more. So I'm thankful that this is the intention of this energy right now. And I would like to know how it's, of course, seeking to engage with us and, the collective, right? Um, I have pulled out 3 past life oracle cards, and underneath those cards, I've pulled out 2 tarot cards each. And the 3 oracle cards, I just pulled one out and then I split the deck. So in the image, you'll see that the 2 cards, the one in the middle as well as the one on the right, have, a bit of elevation to them. And that's actually coming through, as that's actually part of the reading, is that while they might present, not while they are actually presenting themselves as where they stand, they are also now speaking to the 2 elements or parts that need to be built up, even though they are aware that at the very top of these structures or these buildings, there are things that needing to be addressed first. So it feels like there's so many layers or aspects to this, but of course we're going to dive deeper into that. With me saying that they might, I think I was, kind of stopping or trying to correct myself. But as I say, there's no mistakes. It's a matter of saying it's an opportunity being presented. It could happen, it could not happen. It is speaking to a potential outcome, but they are definitely wanting us to understand the situation for what it is. With the amount of time I'm spending even just ushering this energy in, it feels like it's really, again, treading lightly, wanting to be very careful or cautious as to what the next step is, because it feels like, there's a lot that depends on it. It feels like, a lot could happen or occur based off of what might even just come out of this reading, or whatever actions or steps we take going forward that is going to work with this energy, right? So before I proceed, in our background, which is what we don't see, interestingly, I have these back of the deck cards surrounding this world card. So it's to say, while it's coming through with this positive intention, in the background, it's saying that it's aware of a lack of us enjoying the fruits of our labor. I'm seeing here the 9 of Pentacles in reverse. So, I mean, imagine having worked so hard thinking that, now you're going to be able to relax, to rest, to enjoy, again, the fruits of your labor, this little, home, the multiple years of effort, success, whether it's in work or in relationships, but, things of the earth. Again, we are the world, and above it, we have all these pentacles. With me even looking at these cards, I'm seeing that all of them have circles in them. And I'm being led to, I think, I'm not sure how many readings ago it was, but we were comparing, there was that comparison card, and it showed a tree as well as a bamboo. And I mentioned in that reading that there was something about 3 circles. And now here we are having cards that have 3 circles. So just to, kill the suspense, the 3rd card that has a circle in it is the integration card that's also in reverse. And this shows a yin yang. It also shows an eagle and a dove in a circle. And then it also shows the Ouroboros, but it doesn't show it in its full totality. But also, as we know, the Ouroboros is a snail eating, not a snail, a snake eating its tail, and that too is in a circle. For me to even think that it's a snail, it's also speaking to how, this energy has been moving quite slowly throughout this reading as well. I get the sense that this is like a guide or ancestor of the collective energy that we had tapped into yesterday, that's seeking to justify or explain how we can start to work with this energy. It's almost like they're coming to ask for forgiveness, coming to ask for like intervention, like, yo, we know that our child or, our lineage, this son or daughter within our lineage has not come to you correctly. They didn't step correctly, but we want to explain what's happening and then also justify like what's actually going on. So, they're speaking here to how, there was a lack of integration with integration in reverse, and then also a lack of enjoyment or personal fulfillment or success. But then there was a desire to get to this 10 of Pentacles, which is this we are the world. Oh man. Sorry, guys. I'm really sorry that things didn't work out. They're actually coming through as a means of saying that they've been trying to give their son, child, daughter, all these different messages as to how to best, move beyond themselves and the things that they are doing. And already now they're leading me to the first card that we have here, which is the phobias. As I was looking at this phobias, it, speaks to the things that we are scared of doing or that we perceive as scary, because I believe phobias can be overcome. Of course, when we are born as babies, we come through blank, clean slates. And if we have a phobia of anything, like let's say you have a fear of heights, that was ingrained or put into you via an experience, some kind of influence, and then ultimately it becomes like a part of your blueprint or your DNA. It becomes so ingrained that you adopt it and now start to define yourself by it. But interestingly, in this card, the first thing I was drawn to was the snake. And on this snake, on this snake, what is on this snake? Well, this snake definitely has a pattern on it, and I'm even being led to that other reading as well about how I was just mentioning the tree bark, and it actually kind of looks like a tree. I think this snake had tried to hide itself or camouflage, be invisible ultimately to what it was needing to face. But then also, I'm thinking of this year. This is the year of the snake. We're in the year of the number 9. And now this snake is exposed, but then also seeking, I don't know, like forgiveness or some kind of like retribution, an opportunity to justify who it is, what it is, and, all the things that motivated it to perform or act in the way that it did. Above that snake, I see a spider web, and on the spider web, it has its web as well, but it's going upwards. And just beyond that, then I'm seeing a vulture. So, if I look at just these 3 animals together, typically they aren't necessarily pleasing in a sense. Not people look at a vulture like it's like a dark version of an eagle or an owl. A spider is, of course, quite scary if you think of them like black, long legs, it's kind of creepy. And then, of course, here we have the snake. I just got a notification on my phone for Mr. D. I don't know, like, if somebody is, thinking about food. And these are animals in the wild, so it's like something to do with food. And again, what we're consuming is that they were consuming these negatively, like, notions about these animals, because honestly, for me to even say what I'm saying, like a vulture, a spider, and a snake, who said that they were bad after all? It was just a matter of the input, what was given to us. Again, it speaks to a phobia that we are told or perceive things to be ugly, negative, wrong because of the influences that we had. Interestingly, all of these animals are on a ladder. This ladder is on fire, and it's in the middle of a storm in the ocean. So I'm really thinking like, okay, through the storm, through the fire, there's thunder, there's lightning, and far in the distance there's a ship. I'm getting another pain now on my right leg this time, and it's above the knee area, and I'm just thinking about like kneeling, bowing down to like false gods, false rulership. I'm even being called back to the verse that I was led to in the Bible earlier today, which was about the curses of disobedience. And something in there that they mentioned is that one of the curses of disobedience is that you will praise false gods of wood and stone that are even unknown to you. And again, I'm just feeling all these different sensations. I just got like this slight little headache feeling on my right side of my head. So the clairsentience is really strong. I think, at this reading is very much like emotionally charged, very much physical. Again, it feels like, a burden has been carried and they're trying to drop this thing, because from, being bound by the feet, it kind of feels like a prisoner as well, somebody who was like shackled and bound as well. And it's like it's binding. I mean, even as I look at the snake and, these animals, it's like, how did this ladder even get to the middle of the ocean? They're trying to survive and duck and dodge all these, plagues, curses, yet, for some reason they've still survived in this storm with this fire, and they are almost like looking for retribution. Like I said, again, they're looking for a way out, but needing to also acknowledge themselves and who they are and, what they have contributed to them even ending up in this very peculiar position. It's like, how did you guys even end up here? I'm getting the sense of multiple tower moments with me looking at the thunder, multiple tower moments that they were avoiding. And also, with my ear going off right now, not heeding the guidance, heeding messages, heeding signs, and, intuitive hits that they were being given about how they can avoid this turmoil, this, this destruction that looks like it's taking place right now. Because the ship is in the distance. Their higher self is now further away from them than what was originally the case. It's now coming across as though they were very close to their destination. They were close to, not only their ships coming in, but even appreciating this thing. And when I'm saying ships coming in, I mean blessings, abundance, your 10 of Pentacles, ultimately, your we are the world, the thing that would bring you the most joy, satisfaction, fulfillment. And I mean, even with us looking at all of these cards, it's like there was no integration. There was no appreciating the fruits of our labor. There was no culmination of all of our efforts. Things were out of balance. And even here, I'm looking at how in the integration card, there's the dove and the eagle. It's like different opportunities were given to take flight, and in different forms, because it's like different animals, different shapes, and they were the positive guides. If I'm thinking about that as like the vulture being kind of like a negative symbol or sign here, right? But here we are in the middle of the ocean through the waves, but the clouds have opened. It feels like this is an opportunity to recognize that this is like a last chance or a final chance to actually get things right. So that's why they came here, understanding that, look, this is my last hope, this is my last chance, and they want to use their last chance in the right way. Already now I have my hands like, clutched or clenched together. So they're clutching onto this. They're really holding onto this chance. But then also with my hands together like this, it's like, almost like prayer hands, But then they still have some kind of strength, and they want assistance in directing that strength to go in the last, or in the last like effort or last direction to now share this message before, I don't know, things go haywire, right? I'm feeling so much pain in my body right now, and this is not normal. Like, guys, my entire day I was perfectly fine, and just before starting this reading, now I'm feeling all of these different things. So right now I'm also feeling something in my lower back on the right hand side. So I definitely think, there's so much energy that's being harbored, so much energy that's being felt and not like processed or dealt with. And it's yo goodness, it's man, it's so much pressure, it's so much, man, it's so much conflict. It's like they're holding on to things of the past and not even allowing forgiveness. When you hold on to things, you don't allow room or space for new positive things to actually occupy or take up that space, right? So it's like you want to also become the type of vessel that's able to hold the blessing or hold the anointing, this desire that we all seek to inherit or attract in. My neck just clicked. Guys, there's so many things that this energy has been holding on to. But here it is. It's now explaining that it's because of anxiety, it's because of fear, that this was deep within, it was ingrained within them. But let's proceed, right? So underneath that, I've got the Two of Swords in reverse as well as the Eight of Cups in reverse. This is definitely a recognition that we need to leave. We need to take the higher road. We need to take the higher path. But then they're also speaking to how it's been so difficult for them to make a decision. The swords are speaking to things of the mind, the intuition, wisdom as well. I think they have lacked wisdom or even blocked out the wisdom that they were once given. I'm also seeing how in this Two of Swords card, it's, in the shape of an X. Like all of these things were blocked or crossed out, the multiple chances, opportunities that they had to engage. And again, like your spirit's reminding me, listen, listen, listen. Linda, listen, Linda, listen. It's like even the young are trying to get attention of the old. Like you can imagine that even this person's children, the young people around them, also came through as messengers, because they tried to give messages from above, messages from below. And it's like, no, this is not even happening right now. And I see that all of the times that they said no is actually what created each of these steps on this ladder. Because if you think of a ladder, it's like, two lines in parallel, and then there's like lines going across that, to make the steps. In this case, it's kind of showing up as like, this is a ladder of missed opportunities. And now they are sitting with this ladder. All they have is their missed opportunities in the middle of this ocean with this thunder and storm taking place. Confirmation burp once again. But yeah, it's like, being at a crossroads and not taking a choice, not making the decision because it's out of balance. I don't know, for some reason, maybe it's this fear, this anxiety that didn't allow them to trust, or they didn't see what they could make of this opportunity, and now they realize that, oh snap, if only I tried, if only I'd done something different, maybe things would be different. But now that they have, this opening in the sky where the clouds have opened, it's like a little bit of hope has been inspired within them. This last little bit of strength has reawakened in them. I'm also thinking about a meeting that I was in earlier today, and they were speaking about stress and how stress is actually meant to, historically come from like a fight or flight response, where if you were in the jungle being chased by a lion, your stress level goes up because you now are there to choose if you're going to fight or flight. So in this scenario, it's like the stressor or the opportunity or this hope is now giving them this last little bit of strength to say, wow, even at this point, even at this stage, here is a person who can help us almost recover or heal all of this damage, set us back onto the right path. Because we as the collective, I'm getting, we are so connected to water and the elements of nature that we can calm the storm. We can tame the fire. I'm even seeing the temperance card in my mind right now. And they see that if they do good by us, that perhaps they can do good in the angel's eyes, in the eyes of God, in the eyes of, the powers that be. They want to change their fate, their karma. And now they are being presented with this door, but then knowing that they need to take steps towards it, take a leap towards it. Wow, Spirit's saying, okay, let's go with one more card quickly. Ooh, I'm getting the Devil in reverse. Wow. Yo, and I'm just getting all these shivers around my body right now. It's like, you know what? Can you leave your addictions, your temptations behind? Can you start to see yourself? Can you start to see that there was a projection? Again, my ear's still going off. It's like, guys, can you even heed the warnings, man? Wow. Can you see that it's high time? It's time that we put the devil to bed. I think they are definitely going through a realization of sorts that, this way of living is not necessarily going to serve them anymore. So, like, they want to change ultimately, because with the devil upright, that kind of still speaks to, being aware of like what binds you, but then being able to release yourself. But then at this point with the devil in reverse, it feels like, it's aggravated. It's the most like exaggerated version of this devil right now. It's like you've been around for too long. You've been addicted. You've been tempted. You've been bound, or influenced, for too long. You've been infected for too long. Wow. Whoa, man. Yeah, this person, yeah, you know what? I was speaking to earlier about how a phobia comes in, something that gets ingrained. And now it's like this person was poisoned or even infected. And now it's like it's been here for so long. It's been here for too long. Yo, goodness gracious. Yo, thank you, God. Thank you, angels. Thank you, guardians. Please give me the strength to proceed with this reading, man. What's going on? What's going on? Behind the Nine of Pentacles, we have Five of Wands in reverse. They don't want to argue anymore. They'd want to avoid competition. King of Pentacles in reverse. They were knocked off their throne. They want to get back to their abundance. Behind that, the Star in reverse. You know what? They are tired of being where they are. They are away from a miracle. They are away from healing. They are away from shining their brightest. They are away from the light. They are away from the sun. And lastly, behind that, Seven of Pentacles. So wanting to invest their time and their energy elsewhere because they need something different. And again, it's because their heart is sore. Three of Swords behind that. Okay, Spirit is saying put these cards down. Put these cards down, my G. All right, I'm here, I'm listening, I'm present. Which is what the energy opposing the collective needs to do. Listen, be present. I'm putting these cards down in the manner that I'm seeing them, but I'm also getting that, it could be looked at in both ways, because we got to see this thing in reverse as well. Is that, while I'm speaking to all the things that they're experiencing and what they're trying to do, they're also showing me that now they're looking at it also of what actually led them to this point of saying, like, it's because of a heartache that they when you go through something so bad that it hurts you and you make a decision, an emotional decision, you don't take the time to think it through, you don't take the time to feel your feelings, then move. I'm thinking of a song I've made called The Wave, and there's a vocal sample there that I put in from Jennifer Lewis, and at the end of the song, it speaks to, again, my ears going off, the warning signs. It's like, dude, feel your feelings. This person didn't feel their feelings. They were built up and decided to invest their time, their energy, their efforts. It's like making a decision you can't come back from. It's like, if you had like a one night stand, like your partner made you angry or made you upset, then you had a one night stand. But with that one night stand, you actually impregnate that person, or you fall pregnant, switch the roles as necessary, male or female, and now that person decides to keep the child. And then you realize, like, oh my gosh, here are 4 years, 4 eras, 4 periods of my life where I now need to avoid all these different things, because from now the Seven of Pentacles, you put your time and energy into something that you didn't want to, coming after the Three of Swords. Now your light was dimmed, now your resources were affected, your relationships were affected with arguments, and now you're not even enjoying your own life. And you realize, like, oh shit, I got myself into something all these years later because we've got now the Devil in reverse. Wow. Comes through as like a lot of regret. Wishing for a different life or wishing for a different outcome, that things have turned up or turned out differently had they actually just taken the time to cry, to heal. I'm even looking back at this Three of Swords. I mean, ideally, the Three of Swords would have been in reverse, but then they didn't recognize it was their opportunity to integrate a part of themselves that they were trying to be taught. It's almost like being given a very harsh lesson and not seeing the lesson in it, but then looking at the negative side of it, just being nonchalant or being like very dismissive to the lesson. It's like, you don't care. You don't see the silver lining on it. It's like, imagine like a criminal where, because like they've been stolen from, they also decide to steal from others, versus having the compassion, the forgiveness, the understanding to know that whoever had stolen from them was probably hungry, starving. They had no other option. and to even understand that, that people who do steal, who do crime, are doing time. They are being tested in a sense, that they need to use this time to their benefit, to their uh, ability, to their best of their ability, to actually learn what it is that they can do to fend for themselves. But then to get to the point of now infringing upon others or taking from others, it's like a foregoing the responsibility or outsourcing, like handing over, uh, you know, like rescinding. Is that the word? Just like letting something go for somebody else to handle, not taking that responsibility, being irresponsible, if we think of it the other way around. But yeah, I'll leave it at that. But again, this explains why they are phobias, why they having this anxiety, why they need to overcome this fear. This is deep, man. This is deep. And again, my ears going off again. Still. Wow. But yes, let's move on, right? I think now here we are being presented with these two options or pathways. Next card we have in the middle of the reading is Archangel Metatron, and the message on that is ancient wisdom as well as understanding. So beneath that, I have the Page of Wands in reverse as well as the Two of Pentacles in reverse, and there's quite a few things coming through right now. One of these things that are being presented to them is, wisdom and understanding, to say, can they heed this guidance? Because the Two of Swords was in reverse before, they were not heeding this guidance or making this decision. Now it's at a point where they've learned the dark side. Now they're trying to learn something different. I'm not sure if they're ready to even approach the light side, but it looks like that's the pathway, that's the opening that's being made available to them. But they are aware that something does need to change. The reason why I'm saying why that there's a hesitation here is because of where I see these cards and how they're being structured. It's like they are still trying to evaluate how to navigate this storm or these rough seas with the Two of Pentacles upright. And what I'm seeing, in this image where there's a lady with, the Two Pentacles, up and down. And then behind her, we are seeing the waves of this ocean still turbulent. I'm also now being reminded of the story of Moses and how he parted the sea, that due to the east wind that came through, this wind was so strong it was able to divide the seas, and these waves formed a wall on either side. So here is this opening that we were speaking to earlier, this parting of the clouds, this parting of the sea, that's going to allow them to make this evaluation. But then next to that, with this Page of Wands, it's like, are they actually going to take this opportunity? Are they actually going to take this leap or this chance to learn, to heed these messages? Because the pages are messengers. They are about learning. They are about study. And, it's also coming through as like a young child energy as well. I mean, there's a young child in this image too. But it's like, can you be childlike all over again and be an obedient child? A child that listens to this power, this ability? Because if I think about a wand is wooden, and I'm drawn to looking at this phobia card again, is to say, you can turn this ladder into a different situation right now. Like how within the game of snakes and ladders, where if you land on the ladder, you can, literally make a big move that puts you at a different place on the playing field or on the playing board. So it's like, we are going to give the this energy that's around us, the collective, a chance to have a piece of wood. And this would be not only to change this ladder that these snakes, spiders, and vultures are stuck on, but to perhaps even build something new, something that is going to bridge the gap between this dark area or period or phase, this trial and tribulation, this tower structure breaking, this storm, to make their way to this ship. It's almost like it's going to bring the ship closer, or like I'm saying, be the bridging point between that. But there's something that's in the way, and what's in their way is, again, them thinking about the earth, the things of this earth, to say, if I'm to give up the life that I know, what is this new life? if I'm to forgive up my current routine, my habits, my current structure, what is this new way? Because all they know is what they have done before. They actually hold it within high regard. But then behind them, they know that, there is another way. There is other things that they have ignored, that they haven't put their time and their energy into, that could actually give them an opportunity to elevate. So it's within their grasp. In fact, it is in their grasp. It's within reach. But for some reason, they choose to ignore it or treat it as if it's distant. And again, now I'm feeling a pain in my left leg on the knee side area again. And if I'm thinking about the kneeling, it's like kneeling to false gods all over again. But now, with this same pain coming through, firstly on the right hand side, now on the left hand side, it's about me now getting a sense of them being, very much driven by the masculine aspect, wanting to present themselves as being strong, as being powerful. I mean, this person's masculine energy is highly active. For my right ear to be going off as much as it is, this person is stubborn. This person is undisciplined, But then now they're being called to step into their feminine, to step into a softer approach, something that is more ease, something that is more graceful, something that will actually allow them to be merciful and understand that they've been saved, they've been taken care of this whole time because of the potential that they have to be amazing, great, powerful, and use their energy for greatness, to do more powerful things, had they only taken that chance to learn from this lesson. Because I'm also seeing that even though, like this heartbreak or something that happened to them in their younger years, or, I think, even as I'm reading for this collective, it comes across as like, it could have been something that happened like a year ago, a week ago, a month ago. I don't know how long ago it is, but it feels like it's, for me to even speak about how it's like a phobia, which is something that's ingrained. It definitely happened long ago enough for it to define how this person conducts themselves. But then there's this opportunity to say they could have turned this whole situation around, and they still can turn this whole situation around. And it's because of their calling, their divine purpose, that it's still available to them. And again, this is the last chance. This is the last chance. It's a matter of saying, can you actually put down the swords? Can you, here I'm looking at the Two of Swords again. Can you put down your need to fight, your need to sometimes even defend, and just trust that everything is happening as it should for a reason, with a season, and understand the difference between seasons as well as cycles, because darkness, negativity should only be for a season. It comes and it goes. But all the good things, we want them to be cycles. We want them to repeat. We want them to, be like the wheel of fortune, like have our fortune coming and coming and coming and coming, or being long lasting, which is the 10 of Pentacles, which is the we are the world, right? The world will keep turning and it's on a cycle. And that's what we want. But they are definitely still in this deliberation phase or stage and weighing things up. As above, so below. It's like you've been given a chance to learn how to be a magician, learn alchemy. But, I'm even now scratching my right arm area, like my tricep area. And it's like, are you going to wait for your strength to be lost, even strength that you don't see, like, behind the bicep, if you know what I mean? And for me to even say tricep, it's like being hurt or affected in 3 different places, because I mentioned the legs, 2, and then 3, the arm. So it's like, how many places do you want to be affected in or by until you realize that you are on like a path that's not necessarily serving you? Again, I'm being reminded of the layers behind this reading, as to how I mentioned that underneath the next 2 cards, which was the, in the 3 initial past life oracle cards, I had the last 2 cards, which is this Archangel Metatron, as well as the next card, Imprisonment. they have multiple cards underneath them because I split the deck on those, right? So it's like there's so many layers to what they're considering, what they're working through. It's like somebody who's even scared to start all over. It's like, what does starting all over mean? Am I starting from zero? Am I starting from scratch? You know, what does this change in how I view myself, how people view me? It's like they are just in a loop of, you know, thought and wonder, and like it's actually creating so much more fog. It's even making me like want to close my eyes a little bit because it's like it's so overwhelming. You just want to go to sleep or something. um but yeah, there's just too many layers. There's so many layers to unpack as to why this energy is still in this weighing things up kind of an energy. But you know, they are definitely in their mind right now, heavily so. And I think us as the collective have like planted a seed that made them realize like, oh shit, like actually who am I? You know, what am I doing? You know, I think if you are, let's say, working with this person, you know, let's say Monday to Friday, they're gonna think about this thing over the weekend. If you lived with this person, you moving out has like given them an opportunity to remember what it's like when you are there. And you know, with this person, like this first example about, you know, somebody that you work with, on the weekend they are away from you. So it's like your absence has given them an opportunity to actually like sit with this energy and review, recap, and be in retrospect as to what it is or what it was that they had done or contributed to this energy or this experience, because the pentacles are about energy, right? And it's interesting how in the previous reading I was getting something about the number twos and stuff. And I mean, we had the Two of Swords, we have the Two of Pentacles, one in the reverse, one that's upright. It's like you can see that as above, so below. You can see that things need to get into balance. But can you conquer the pride, you know, the ego, and understand that you don't have to live from ego and pride, because our ego and our pride are there to serve us and, you know, in some cases even protect us. But there are some situations where you need to let it all go and let love in. That pride got a hold on you. What's that song? Yeah, by Aries. You know what? Sometimes, guys, we just need to be humble, man. We really need to just let things go and realize, like, actually, this path isn't really gonna serve me or do me any good. And moving on, next card, imprisonment. You know, we were speaking about a criminal earlier on that, you know, because they were stolen from in the example that they decided to steal. So, you know, you were outside in the world. Your Ten of Pentacles was taking from other people, you know, but what did that lead to? It led to you being jailed, you being persecuted, you being judged. I'm seeing, you know, in this image, there's a woman or a female, male, female, guys. Of course, please switch it around according to your situation, right? But it's like, if you don't heed the warnings or abide by the law, which is what that Bible verse was speaking about, being obedient, you are going to be cursed with, you know, cages, blockages, limitations. You know, I'm even looking here in this image, you know, there's a character who's behind these burglar bars, and there's even rats around them. And you know, that's coming through again as like plagues, curses. You know, as we know in the Bible, there were so many curses or afflictions that happened to like people in Egypt, and you know, those who did not, I mean, throughout the Bible we know people went through different things that they experienced because of not abiding by the law or misuse of their power or the law. And that is the result of, you know, not heeding the signs, not listening. And that's why my ear's been going off so much. It's like, imagine God tells you, hey, I need you to give this person a loaf of bread, and you don't do it. You know, like you being guided by your spirit team, and they telling you all these things that are going to lead you to your blessings, your abundance, your we are the world, your completion, your legacy, your heritage, you know, your... Man, imagine being able to like have the whole world, everything that you've ever wanted, everything that you've ever desired, but your pride and your egos got a hold of you, man. You know, can't even humble yourself just to even listen. to even consider, like, what is it that we can do to, bring about a positive change right now. Yo, that's crazy. I must just say, like, that this energy is definitely coming across as like quite negative, and I don't like to always tap into energies like this. But we have to be real. We have to be honest, guys. Like, even I think in what I am experiencing, I'm being reminded that the reason why I can even understand this reading, why I can even deliver this reading, is because I too have been caged myself within my own mind before. And Spirit is reminding me now that, when you have experienced something and you've overcome it, you are the best person who's positioned to help others with the same thing, with the same affliction, with the same poison. So, I'm thinking in my case where we go through, shadow work, dark night of the soul, ego unaliving, that now we can also teach this person what ego unaliving is all about. Because they are imprisoned, they are in a cage. And what does that entail? Underneath that, we have the Emperor upright as well as the Page of Cups upright. This is coming through as very much positive. And I think I needed to say what I said right now because it was showing that here is where the path stops. Here's where the bullshit stops and we move on to a new place, a new space. Because now we are letting go of this devil. We are dropping this ego. We are dropping this pride. We are dropping this need to be right, to fight, to defend nonsense, to defend things that don't need to be defended. With this Emperor card, it speaks to embodiment, actually taking true authority, not taking that like diddle daddle slapdash type of authority where you think you are the king or you think you are in your masculine, because again, what you think and the reality are two different things. And that now is like King of Swords, a greater level of discernment. I'm also thinking about how, I envision the Emperor as a combination of all the kings in all the suits. So now if you can think of it, King of Swords, King of Pentacles, King of Cups, King of, what did I say? Swords, Cups, Pentacles, Wands. Wands clearly was forgotten because that seems like it's one of the toughest parts for them, Stepping into this, your ability to create, to manifest, to... Give me a second, I'll tell you now. I'm even being led to look at one of my notes in my coaching course that I'm working on. They are not stable, they are not creating, they are not actioning, and they are not rooted. So interesting that I end with the rooted, and in this card, the Emperor is, visualized or depicted as a tree, and you can see this tree is on top of a hill, and the roots underneath it are very much visible as well. And it looks like multiple trees underneath, below, but above you just see one tree. So it's like, can they plant their roots on this new area, in this new place? I'm even getting this vision about how this storm that they're in could turn to land very easily. Even as I look at the middle card, the Archangel Metatron, it looks like, this guy's in Egypt again, with here's that Egypt connection coming through once again. But also, the pyramids are surrounded by sand. It's like this flood can turn into sand with this recognition of self and what true power is, what true knowledge is, what true wisdom is, what true understanding is, and ultimately being true, being honest. Behind this tree, I'm seeing the sun, and it looks like a sunset. And behind it, it's this sunset is behind this tree, is behind this mountain. So it's to say you can conquer these structures that you've placed, or overcome these structures that you've placed, overcome these trials and tribulations by dimming the light on this negativity, by honing down on these masculine aspects, or this ego and this pride, to understand that true power is even in gentle strength, in gentle power. Like, confidence is not loud. Confidence knows itself. I'm even thinking about, like, the energy of money. Money is an energy. Like, everything that we want to attract, love is an energy. Everything that we want is an energy, right? And for us to have these energies live with us, reside with us, it's like those energies need to be able to trust us. If you can't handle money, how can money trust you? That's how you're going to lose money. So you need to become trustworthy to money, and money will feel at home within you. But now think of that just like money, because I think all of us can relate to that. But think of that in relation to whichever emotion that you're feeling. It could be like joy, love. I don't know, man. Like, I think all of us feel so many different things. And if we want to embody those energies, hone in on those energies, right? How do we make those energies feel safe around us? How do you feel safe to trust? Trust is an energy. How do you feel safe to hope? Think of all those positive energies, and whether you are in a position that it trusts you enough to be residing within you, that it can be rooted within you. Wow, my ear has been going off this whole time, guys. And all day it was fine. It's hot. This person's in the heat, guys. They're in the heat. I'm even getting something about them currently experiencing a plague, experiencing more signs, more nudges, more pushes. It's like, yeah, like, yo, man, it's pressing. It's urgent. Yes, that's the word. It's so urgent that they make this action right now, because again, guys, they are going through it. It is very urgent that they see us as the collective, that we are the gem. They were looking for an answer. They were looking for a way out. And then the collective was presented to them as the hope, as the light, as the solution. And if they can't even receive the collective, or even see that the collective is here to help them, to uplift them, to teach them, to guide them, then this plague, or this dark era of imprisonment, will just continue. They ultimately persecute themselves by not applying judgment. I'm even thinking about how they say, like, we shouldn't judge others, but we should evaluate ourselves, right? Because we are our choices, we are our actions, we are our behaviors. One of my favorite quotes is, the fall of man is indecisiveness. Your inability to make a decision is ultimately what's going to impact your life. And the fall of man, that sounds like a curse to me, a curse of not being obedient. Yo, if you feel led to read this Bible verse, let me even tell you what it is. Give me a second. It is Deuteronomy 28. It starts with the blessings of obedience and then goes on to the curses of disobedience. So yeah, Deuteronomy 28, yeah? But anyway, let's move on. Thank you, God, for coming through with this message, man. Thank you so much for even choosing me to deliver this. Wow. Never know how things are going to shape up, but it definitely wanted to be heard and come through in this way. Like, guys, I'm scratching myself. It's like, I don't usually do this all the time. My ears feeling funny, my body's feeling funny. And, it speaks to even like one of the plagues, that you'll get boils, you'll get scratches that you can't even cure, that you can't even stop. But it's crazy. Here we are again, Page of Cups, and I'm seeing another synchronicity with the number 2s, where we had 2 of Swords, 2 of Pentacles. Now we have Page of Wands, Page of Cups. And again, same pattern. Upright, reverse, upright, reverse. Or reverse, upright, reverse, upright. The things are appearing in 2s, and this was a predictive message that I brought forward. Was it not yesterday or the day before yesterday that we're going to get signs in 2s? And here we are getting cars in sets of 2. And here we are seeing more twos appearing, you know. But here with the Page of Cups upright, again, messages, learning, discerning, and Page of Cups being, ooh wee, getting into your intuition. Getting into your intuition, man. You know, I'm thinking about how the Page of Cups looks in the traditional Rider-Waite tarot deck. And there's this person standing there in like these nice, you know, kind of Joker, jester-like clothes, you know. And they have a fish in a cup. And I look at that also as like creativity, which is very well depicted in this image here. And interestingly, you know, both of them have plants and both of them have roses in them, you know. So there's something about nature as well, or being able to turn the nature around. Nature is in outside, but nature, like, you know, how it is, what's something's nature. But with that fish in the cup, it's like, you know, what is a fish going to be doing in a cup? Like, how did it even get there? You know, of course, you'd observe it like flapping around, moving around, trying to get back into the water. But then it's an opportunity to like get in your bag. That's how I'm taking that. It's like creatively, you can now see how long can you survive out of this water and realize that, you know, you aren't the fish out of the water. You are actually the creator. You can be the one who's holding this cup, who's in the position of power. So can we intuitively understand that we can also temper and have anything that we desire, what it is that we seek for ourselves, by intuitively taking action, intuitively taking steps. You know, I'm even thinking about, for example, like intuitive eating. You would know, like, okay, I've had enough food, and after, if let's say you're having a meal and you've had enough food, if you eat beyond a certain point, it would be gluttony. Or if you eat beyond a certain point, you might have like a stomach cramp, you know what I mean? And that's all your intuition. It's you just knowing when you've had your fill. And interestingly, how this comes together with this cup energy, it's like you would know what's going to fill your cup. You know what's actually going to, you know, take you out of the storm and allow you to be in a place where you can focus on your cup, where you can create, where you can draw it, where you can be the alchemist, this magician, this creator of your desire, your new world, right? But can you heed the guidance? Can you heed the messages? Can you be the page? Can you go back into study, into discovery, and be wondrous and be curious? Which is the challenge that we had in the middle here with the Page of Wands, right? So from like shying away from taking this journey within to now ultimately taking the steps and killing it. It's available. It's very much possible. But this energy needs to humble themselves, drop their pride, and decide to learn from the collective, because they too are gifted. I believe everyone is gifted. And if we can just listen to the signs, heed the messages, heed the warnings, then we can express ourselves fully together, because there's enough for everyone to eat, you know? Everyone can eat. We don't have to eat at the same table, but everyone can eat. There's enough for everyone. But selfishness, pridefulness is what keeps people held back, constrained, thinking that there are not enough seeds, there are not enough trees, there's not enough nature for us. And that's why this emperor now is being presented as this tree, right? Having to move its roots. And even though it's going through a season of autumn where the leaves have fallen, that season will change. Because the farmer knows if they did all the right things, a new season will come where they will bear the fruits and reap the fruits of their labor. I feel like I'm preaching right now. But you know what? I think that's the message right there, man. I think that's the message right there. 553 is the actual time right now. But on the timer, we at 5853. So definitely something about the number 53 could also be taken in reverse, 35. You know, I'm even thinking about how this reading is closing in on an hour, and it's the power hour, guys. It's the hour for us to step into our strength. It's the time for us to remember that the power is within. We are never without power. If you lose electricity, don't go say the power's out, because you are speaking negatively to yourself. You always have power. Can you see it? Can you stop debating and evaluating it? and just step into it. Use it, understand it, harness it, channel it, embody it. This feels like a very powerful reading and a very powerful place to end this reading. I just want to thank you for spending this time with me. And let's step into change. You know, the number 5 is coming through strong with also what I was just looking at now. So yeah, let's make the change, guys. Let's make the change. You know, I'm even looking at how the imprisonment card is 3-2. You know, I also, you know, like to say 23, like, you know, taking the leap in the 2-3 zone for basketball reference. But 3 and 2 added together, this culmination of the 2s, which is what we were getting, is going to lead to a 5. Change, great change. Integration. Wow, what's behind this? Celebration. We can win if we integrate. You know what? I'm going to make sure I take this in the picture as well. Let's have that as a nice closer to this message. We can celebrate if we integrate. Thank you, gang. Peace. Yay, yay. 555 on the clock.